I'm just letting people in. All right. So Sonoma State University was established back in 1961. We were located in Roanoke Park, California. We're about an hour north from the Golden Gate Bridge, about 2 hours from Sacramento, and about 30 to 40 minutes from the coast. We are one of the smaller CSUs of about 269 acres. We are a public liberal college that is comprised of many people from many different backgrounds, but we are also proud to know that we are a Hispanic serving institution. So we're glad that a large percentage of our students come from a Latinx background. It really gives us a diverse viewpoint on campus and just diverse experiences that people can learn from. And also we have a student population of about between 7,000 and 8,000 per year, give or take. And like I mentioned earlier, our SSU mascot is the sea wolf. So that comes from a Jack London novel. Jack London was a author who would frequent in Sonoma County, and he included a sea wolf in one of his fantasy novels. So SSU by the numbers. We are number 1 for 2-year graduation rate amongst the CSU system for transfers, and we're actually number 4 for the freshman 4-year graduation rate amongst the CSU system. We're also proud to boast that we are the best housing according to niche.com in the CSU system. We owe that to our great housing system, of course, and our reach department. We are number 3 for our most beautiful campus art center, and we owe that to the Green Music Center, where we have great performances from many different artists, comedians, and many more. That's also where we have our commencement ceremony as well. And we also like to boast a 23-to-1 student to faculty ratio. So that's definitely something that as an alumni, I really, really appreciated that I never had to wait too long to see any of my professors or to just get that one-on-one assistance. So it's definitely something that at Sonoma State is not really a problem at all for students, because they do have that 23-to-1 student to faculty ratio. All right, academic opportunities that we offer at Sonoma State. We offer over 45 different majors in over 70 distinct concentrations. Our popular majors include business administration, psychology, biology, early childhood education, kinesiology, sociology, that's what I majored in, liberal studies, and also nursing as well. And we also offer undergraduate research and internships. So definitely keep an eye out for that if you do get accepted to Sonoma and you're in any program whatsoever. Most of them do offer undergraduate research or internships. So definitely get that under your belt and start building your resume with Sonoma State, as well as getting your degree. And we also offer study abroad programs, over 64 in 6 different continents. Basically, you can live in any part of the world besides Antarctica and be part of Sonoma State. And we're also ranked number 5 in the nation amongst all colleges and all higher ed institutions for study abroad programs. So we are an NCAA Division II athletic school. We have Division II sports in basketball, baseball, soccer, softball, volleyball, and golf. And we also offer club sports and intramural sports. As a student, I also participated in intramural sports, and those club and intramural sports include cheer, dance, equestrian, lacrosse, rowing, rugby. There's a climbing club. There's so many different ones. You can just play pickup soccer too. It's really fun. And most of those are either hosted on our facilities or also, like for instance, our climbing club will sometimes go out and just go climbing on different boulders. See here. So our campus housing, I did mention earlier that we are ranked number 1 amongst niche.com, amongst the CSU system. For our campus housing, we have 6 different residential villages. So they're basically apartment complexes with suites and apartments that are available for students. We emphasize a living learning community, and we owe that to not only guaranteeing housing to our first year and transfer students, but we also boast that 90% of our first year students do choose to live on campus. It's not a requirement. You are allowed to have your car on campus, but if you do choose to live on campus as a first-year freshman, you do have to have a meal plan. So do keep that in mind. The meal plan is not tiered. It is one unlimited meal plan for all students. So campus resources that we offer at Sonoma State, we offer academic advising in different areas. That is the Center of Transfer and Transition Programs. So this is actually a center for usually people that are starting in their first year or even before that, might need some extra guidance just in terms of even reserving your spot for orientation. Like maybe what some would look at little things that still some students may need assistance on. We also have a Dream Center for our undocumented population that offers great advising as well. The EOP program is also offered at Sonoma State, as well as our hub, which is our intercultural center. So that's where we house a lot of different events for students that may come from different backgrounds, and they have those great conversations to basically learn off of each other and learn about different walks of life. And also there is our Learning and Academic Resource Center. This is basically our tutorial center. So for any students that are, struggling with any courses, especially in the general education department, those are definitely some classes that, are more general that students can get better help with at the LARC Center, especially at the Writing Center. And we also have a Military and Veteran Resource Center for any of those needs, as well as Puerta, which is part of our CASE program and is basically a program for any Latinx, Hispanic, low income, or even historically first generation students. You don't have to be all of those. You can just fit one of those criteria and still be part of it. And it's basically for any students that fit those criteria that also want to become educators. I was actually a part of it. It was a great benefit to me as a student, and I learned a lot from it. And also for our foster youth, we do offer a program called Seawolf Scholars, which is also just supplemental advising for any students that do come from a foster background. All right, so admission requirements at the CSU level, we have first year requirements, we have lower division requirements, and upper division transfer requirements as well. So you can come into Sonoma State in these three areas, but lower division transfer does not allow any students to apply to a impacted major. So if you do choose to apply to any impacted majors that we may have at Sonoma State, your pathway would be through a first-time first year or an upper division transfer. So that means that you are either a high school graduate for a first-time first-year freshman, meet the A through G requirements, as well as fulfilling the first-time first-year multi-factor score system, as well as noting that there are other impacted major requirements you may need to meet. For lower division, it is a GPA of 2.0, while having less than 60 transferable units and having completed your A2 and B4 section of the CSU requirements for transfer, which are written communication and general education math at a community college or another institution of sort. That can also lead, you also must have good standing in your last college, as well as meeting A through G requirements from high school. That being said, the upper division transfer is the same, a GPA of 2.0, having more than 60 units, as well as fulfilling the Golden Four, which is Area A1, oral communication, Area A2, written, and A3, critical thinking, as well as B4 being general education math. So also, again, note that there is impacted major requirements that may need to be met for other majors that are more competitive. So just some perspective notes for this upcoming fall application cycle. Our fall application will be open October 1st and closing November 31st. And also our spring application for anyone interested opens up in August and ends at the end of August. And as well as our SSU scholarship, that is something that you should apply for if you are seriously considering Sonoma State, and that is due February 1st. It usually opens up right around the same time that the application cycle opens up, as well as the FAFSA and California Dream Act. That is just all around for any institution you may be attending, as well as noting that admissions decisions are given back to students between December and March, and that all depends on what point in the application cycle you apply to. If you apply early, then most likely you'll be able to hear back even before December, as well as noting that Seawolf Decision Day is this upcoming April. So this is a event for any students that have already been admitted to Sonoma State, and just kind of a pre-orientation type of event. And also we finalize admissions and housing decisions by May 1st, and final transcripts are due by July 10th. And just noting that CSU campuses are still accepting credit or pass for any E through G requirements, as well as we are suspending the requirement of the ACT and SAT examination. So it's not required, but it's optional as well. It can be used for placement. And as well as noting that the CSUs are still accepting advanced placement scores of a 3 or better. And that's our presentation. So feel free to scan the QR code and stay connected to fill out our inquiry form. And here you will find the contact info for the Office of Student Outreach and Recruitment, as well as the Office of Admissions, Financial Aid, and Housing. So we can open it up to questions now. Feel free to drop any questions in the chat. Does anyone need me to go back to a slide at all? Hi, everyone. So for those of you who are coming in, the presentation did just end, but feel free to ask any questions that you may have about Sonoma State. Max Drummond, thank you. Thank you for the positive feedback. I appreciate it. Hello, welcome in. Anyone? Okay, we got a question. So must. So the minimum requirements for SSU does meet the same requirements as the minimum for CSUs. So as I did explain earlier, the CSU requirements in terms of admission, the lowest, I guess, requirement for any students that would be considering any CSU that is not impacted would be, having a 2.5 GPA, as well as meeting the A through G requirements and graduating from high school. So those are the 3 basic requirements for any freshman coming in. That being said, for any transfer students, that would be either the lower division or upper division transfer. But if we're just talking about the more common upper division transfer, then that would be coming from a 2.0 within their area, as well as meeting their golden 4, having 60 units and having good standing within that that community college as well. So are there any more questions regarding CSU admission requirements? So I can definitely talk about just this last cycle. We did extend our deadline at SSU. We extended it 3 times. So we ended our cycle February 15th officially this year, but usually, you know, that those are decisions that are made at the end of basically the cycles or towards the tail end of the cycle if we feel like we should or can extend it as well. So generally, all CSUs are open between October 1st to November 30th or 31st. I forget if November has 30 or 31 days, but they are generally just along that dateline. That would be for the fall applications. For spring applications at SSU, we are open between August 1st to August 31st. Generally, that should be the same for other CSUs as well. Did that answer your question, Paul? Okay, yeah, so feel free to drop any more questions in the chat. You can even, if you do have the ability to unmute yourself, feel free to also unmute yourself. I do not mind that at all. So according to impacted majors that we have at Sonoma State, we do have you know, a number of impacted majors, and they do vary between transfer and first year freshmen. So you know, just for the sake of not having to list all of them, I will be dropping the lists and links for each. So the first one would be for impacted majors amongst the first year freshmen. And the second link would be for our transfer students. Yes, so those are the links for our impacted majors. Those are always being updated. They're being updated as quickly as we can. I know sometimes some of our majors will come out of impaction or into impaction, but the major that is constantly impacted and will not really be ever unimpacted, at least for me, in my opinion, is nursing. Nursing is our most competitive major. So impaction basically means, and I guess the perfect example of it is if you have a room of 20 chairs that are those 20 spots that you can have in, say, a psychology department for a psychology major, and 50 people are applying to it. So what the psychology department then does is they raise their standards and they say, you have to have certain classes or a certain GPA, whatever they deem is necessary to kind of at least find a hierarchy within the students that they're going to be accepting. So that's kind of the best way that I could explain impaction. And so the university basically publicates this and says, you know what, these are the majors that are impacted, and these are the requirements that you need to meet in order to apply to Sonoma State and be part of this major. So what I would suggest to any people that, may be applying to a impacted major, always definitely have something in your back pocket that will help out for another major that you may want as a backup. What I would say, especially for someone that is applying to nursing and thinks that they may not get in, or they end up not getting in, definitely apply for your secondary major as undecided, because then you can still take the prerequisites to become a nursing major once you go into your upper division courses as a junior. Thank you. I appreciate the questions. So yeah, feel free to still drop any in the chat if you do have any questions about the CSU application process. I did do a presentation earlier, but it has come to my attention that it was supposed to be geared more around CSU requirements. So definitely let me know if there are any questions about them. I will also be dropping my email in the chat. If anyone wants to save my email and ask any of those questions to me, feel free to drop me an email, or we can also schedule a Zoom appointment as well. Oh, I accidentally put it for. All right, there we go. I think, did everyone see in the chat that there is my email there? So hopefully it did get sent this time. And that way, if you have any questions or anything else that you may need, some state colleges with GPA 3.77 to 4.0, is this weighted? So in terms of the weighted GPAs, in how a university will, kind of look at it, usually in terms of how they would look at it, that would become an individual kind of requirement between each university. So in terms of state colleges with a 3.7 or 4.0, if their requirements are not above, I would say that are not above a 4.0 in terms of them, what they're looking at, it would be unweighted. So a weighted GPA can, if a student is really, really dedicated, can go over a 4.0. So that if they're giving those requirements, then they probably will be looking for an unweighted GPA. So note also about, just going back to that question, so they do check for a weighted GPA, but usually they are capped. So I'm assuming that since they're capped from a 3.7 to a 4.0, it caps off at a 4.0 for any students that may have higher than that. So depending on the university, there may be a different, I guess, policy that they may have. Sonoma State is not a impacted school, like fully impacted. So we do hold the minimum CSU requirements still. Other impacted schools may have those higher standards as well. I would say a perfect example of that would be sort of San Diego State, that they are a fully impacted school. Okay, so it seems that our time is wrapping up. There is a presentation after this, so feel free to, like I said, send me an email if you have any questions later on that you may need answered. We can also, like I said, set up a Zoom meeting as well. But besides that, thank you so much for having me. Again, I apologize for the mix-up, but you have yourself a great day, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.